Hello there, world. That's me again. I'm back. Now this video is gonna totally contradict God, if there is a God. This is basically an atheist video. This is just gonna back up what scientists believe, how we came about, and actually it does sound really convincing. Even though I proved that God is real, I still, you know, maybe God's just a spirit that just helps us. He didn't create us. He's just a spirit, you know, someone else's soul that just helps each other. Maybe it's just souls that are helping each other. I don't know. But scientifically proven how we came about. It's simple. It's very simple. So we know the solar system. Basically, the sun is like a big old magnet, okay, and it holds the Earth, and the sun is like a giant magnet pulling each other together, okay. And just like heat pushes. Just like you put a balloon on a candle, it pushes the balloon up. So the heat from the sun pushes the Earth outward, and the gravity of the sun pulls the Earth towards. So each planet has their own magnet, their own density, their own weight. As you know, the heavier planets are forward, the lighter planets are back, full of gases and whatnot. These are Mercury, Venus, heavy planets, heavy Earths. They say that Venus could look like pre-Earth, what Earth looks like before it became Earth, and Mars looks like what Earth could have been if it was destroyed by mankind. So what I'm going to say is how we got here, or if this is true, how they got here, and then we got here. So either way you look at it, it's how we got here. And then firefighters, they know how fires are started because of the hot spot on the fire. Wherever the hottest point of the house is, or how hottest spot of the forest is, that's where the fire started. So the hot spot on the sun is actually what pushes the Earth farther away, which just gives us a winter time, and the other side brings us closer, which gives us summertime. So we are forever in this magnetic field. It's like you put two magnetic balls in a glass jar, and they will forever spin around, and nothing will ever stop. The sun will forever glow because there is no oxygen in space. That's how they made the light bulb. It glows because there's no oxygen inside the light bulb. And they've actually made a forever light bulb. They just don't want to sell it because they'll go out of business. But so the sun will forever glow. I mean, they say that the sun could blow out when we bust a hole in our ozone layer and solar flares could come in. Maybe that might suck the flares off the sun, I don't know. But anyways, we are magnetic to the sun. Now we the people and everything on the Earth is magnetic to the Earth because the sun's too far away. We don't have that same magnetic construction. We're electromagnetic, you know, we're full of electrons, electricity. You rub your balloon on your head and you know the hair stands up because we're full of electrons. We're all computerized. Electric, everything's computerized. So if you think about it, back before there were any planets, it was just space. Okay, you think about it, it's just all space. Now I am convinced, you know, I watched this one video how they proved God exists, and they said, well, you know, they showed an example of a book. Someone created a book. Well, someone had to create the book, just like someone had to create us. But science has proven that stuff is created out of nothing. Okay? Dust, for example. You could have a house, never step foot in it for like a year, and all of a sudden it's just covered in dust. And you have no windows open, nothing's open, just dust everywhere. Where in the fuck did dust come from? You could have a slab of meat on your kitchen counter, covered it so no flies get on there, and then all of a sudden maggots start growing on there. Where in the hell did the maggots come from? It came from nothing. Okay, a cup of milk. You have all kinds of mold and science experiments going on in there. Where did it come from? Nothing. I mean, everything out there is just so small you can't see with your naked eye. You can't even see a sperm with your naked eye. You can't see these organisms flying around right in front of me. You can't see. It's there. And science has proven that asteroids carry organisms on it, just like sperm, dust molecules, one-celled single organisms. Everything's on asteroids. Okay, asteroids is just a whole bunch of dust and space that just appears out of nothing and form clusters over. And then just like the periodic table, it shows that you can make metal by mixing different chemicals. You can make this by mixing different chemicals. So steel, everything has a formula. Everything. So all these different molecules in space just so happen to be magnetized to something else and creating this and creating that, and stuff just gets created. And the ball of the earth forms, and then obviously everything's frozen in space, so there's a lot of water, or maybe it's not water because there's no O in the H2O factor, so there's no oxygen, just H2. So as these balls are forming, before the sun is formed, balls are just forming, things are just colliding and getting bigger over time and over time and over time, and I'm talking millions and millions of years goes by. Finally you got these balls ready to go. Okay, the sun is just a ball of fuel, basically. And when two asteroids collide, just like sparking rocks, sparking whatever, two trees rub together, caught the planet on fire, boom, you got your sun. So all these planets that were on a path to the magnetic ball is now bounced back from heat until it finds its orbit that it forever stays in right now. Now, as we know, Earth could have been one big old ball, and then after ice, melts on it, it was one pure ball of water. Pure ball of water. Now, what are babies born in? Water. I mean, what's inside the womb? Water. When the lady's ready to get pregnant, her water breaks. So the earth, Mother Nature, was a big old womb. Okay? And you think about how everything's born. Everything was born in water. Okay? Frogs are born in water. Fish are born in water. Everything is born in water. We were born in water. You notice how we have a tailbone? That's because I think we followed the frog's program. I think we were born in the water like tadpoles, mermans, and once when we got to adult age, we lost our tail and we crawled up on the earth. Once when more asteroids landed. Same thing with dogs and cats and bears and tigers and whatever. They all grew, they say what came first, the chicken or egg. Well, the chicken had to come first. So the chicken was born in the water, like a tadpole, came out, and then, was born with a reproductive system so it could do it over and over and over again. Just like we were born in the water, came out, we were made with a reproductive system so we could do it ourselves over and over again without the water. And this was pure water. Like, I don't think it was H2O yet, it's just pure water. No salt in the ocean, no nothing, just pure. Like a baby, like a mom's womb, pure, nothing, no chemicals, no nothing back then, pure. I don't think it had the cycle, if you ever make a fish tank, you gotta let the cycle of the fish water go. I don't think it did do any of that yet, it's just pure. So that's why life was able to go about. And if you think about it, there's some, because frog eggs kind of look like a plant. If you look at frog eggs and you step on it, it kind of looks like a plant. And if sperm were to land in pure water and make its way to a frog egg, could it make something out of that? Or is there other plants out there like the anemones and these other sea plants, the plants that, Nemo hides in? What if those were once eggs that started everything off? And they just evolved because they had no use for those eggs anymore. They just evolved to pretty little plants. But that's where we could have started off at. And different parts of the world, different temperatures is what made the different races. the more sun exposed, less sun exposed, the deeper in the water, whatever. Different varieties of animals, different varieties. And then the animals that are today were mixed from other animals by mutts. A horse and a cow make a donkey. I don't know, but everything was original once, and then everything just grew out of proportion once when they got on land. More races were done, mixing everything. So that's how I think that we all came about. We were all just on the earth, and then more asteroids came later on, formed more land, formed continents, formed everything that we got today. Steel, gold, every asteroid carrying everything that we need to live today. Now, the thing that everybody asks about is who built the fucking pyramids. That's the main question on everybody's stories. Who built the goddamn pyramids? So if my story is correct, but their theory, if my story is correct, their theory has to be correct. If Mars was an Earth that was destroyed, and Venus is an Earth that looks like it's about to be the next Earth, what if it's already happened? What if Jupiter was here, Mars was here, Earth was here, and Mercury was way the fuck back there? The reason why Mercury got to the beginning of the line is maybe some heavy-ass asteroid hit it, gave it so much weight that it jumped all the way to the front of the line. And all these planets bounced back with their, they lost some weight, gained some weight, Once this blew up, it lost a lot of weight, so it goes back farther, because Mars, you see what happened to the 9/11 buildings, that was all weight right there. Once when they destroyed that, weight just disappeared. So, once when that planet lost a lot of weight, it got pushed back more because the heat could push it back more. Some of that could have flown off and landed onto Venus, which moved it out of its orbit. And so if that was true, Mars was Earth. Okay, that. So right now we're at the technology where we could send avatars to another planet and we could control them by robots. We could sit here on Earth and we can move these robots on other planets, gathering information. So what if Mars, before it blew up, was at the technology or beyond what we are today, and they sent avatars to Earth, which was pre-Earth, and the robots basically just built the pyramids. They brought over with them life, they brought over with them seeds, they brought over with them sperm, they brought over with them everything. And then, Mars went into a World War III and blew up. World War V, whatever number they're on, or maybe the solar eclipse blew up and they died. But the robots stayed on the planet. The robots obviously couldn't move on their own because they were being controlled by the avatars. And so millions of years went by, the robots, just stood there, and then life came about. And if you notice that our robots that we make, they all represent the human body. Terminators represent the human body, iRobots represent the human body. But if you look at all the Egyptian pictures and all the Egyptian artifacts that they all have cat-like masks. They all look like cats. So what if those people were actually cats? Cathars, cat-like people. So they made the robots cat-like people. And so when the Egyptians came about and they saw these damn robots, they tore it all apart because they had no use for it, and then they wore the masks as if they were gods, and they appraised these cat-like people, which are the robots. And then that's where they got a lot of their gold from, and a lot of their, they just melted it down and just basically destroyed any evidence that a robot was around. And that explains how the robots moved all these blocks. And they say that some of the pyramids, there is no oxygen, you can't go inside a pyramid. So they said that there's no way a human being could have built the human holes, tunnels in the pyramid without oxygen. So the robots would explain it. So the robots did that, and all these planets moved to the side. That's that theory. I don't know. That's just an iffy theory. But still, I still believe that, we came from the ocean. We were born from the ocean. But a lot of spirits around, help us, guide us through the thing, and we call that God. Because sometimes they watch out for us, and sometimes they help us, and we each have our own gods, or that's why there's so many different religions, because some help these people and some help those people, and they had different views. And that would explain all the different religions. That would explain how we have what we have today, and that would explain how science is correct. So, I think that a lot of our answers, that if we want to find some more answers, we need to go start searching Mars. Because there might be some hidden fuels on there, that would make our technology even better. Or even some of these earlier planets. There might be some more fuels that we need. Now, the weight thing. We gotta be careful about this weight thing. Everybody's talking about the global warming, the Earth's changing. If Egypt, was the promised land, or Egypt was the spot that everybody resided at in the beginning of time, and we see it today as a freaking desert, that right there doesn't. I don't understand how anybody would have chose that spot to live. You're like, hey, we're in the desert. Let's live right here. I just don't understand how they did that. Especially building some of these other temples that they needed, building these other monuments that they needed. A lot of it needed, cranes that they made out of trees, and obviously there was no trees there, so you're telling me that they hiked all the way up to fucking China and got some trees and then came back and built their shit? I'm like, no. If they hiked all the way to China, I'd be like, you know what, let's just stay in China. There's no way that they would have came back to the desert. There's no way. So that's telling me that maybe the equator was different back then. It's telling me that maybe the equator was different, and Egypt was actually a nice, green, awesome place like California. Or, somewhere else. It was just beautiful. Grass, trees everywhere. And then the world just shifted over 10,000 years, 20,000 years. Which would explain why the scientists say that all of our sequoia trees in California, they shouldn't have been grown there. They said that sequoias need some other climate to grow, and that they shouldn't have grown where they're at. So if the world was different, and Egypt and all that was green land, then that means our California was somewhere else where the trees would grow. And then with the trees growing, it actually shifted our world again by weight. And the best way to explain that is there's actually a beach ball that was created in the 90s or so. It's called the Wacky Ball. There's actually a pocket where you can put a quarter in the pocket, Wacky Ball, and you can hit it, and the ball will just go wacky. Won't even spin the same way that you hit it. So if you think about it, each tree, sequoia trees, I don't know how many tons of weight they weigh, but they are weight. So if you put a quarter, on the earth, in ratio, you will make the earth spin a different direction. So with all the sequoia trees up and down the hills, especially with wind resistance, that's what the trees create, wind. Just like a broom sweeping on the ground, you're creating wind, and that's why it's wind differently. It's going to create the world to change over time. And then the more people growing on this earth is adding weight, but that's evenly distributed. I wouldn't worry about that too much. But the trees, and then every time we're cutting down a bunch of trees, we're moving a lot of weight from one spot, hauling it somewhere else, lumber, metal, cars, everything. It might be wishy-washy and it might not. It may make a difference. And if you notice that when the Twin Towers went down, that was a lot of steel and a lot of weight in one area that was just vanished. And ever since that day, we've been noticing the climate change. So did that have effect on us? Could it? Maybe. I don't know. They also say that the ice is melting too much up in the caps. You know, when the ice is melting, it goes into the ocean, and it might change the way that we spin this earth. So everything has to do with it. You know, I don't know if it's, I think it's just the way the earth is spinning. But the more and more populated that we get, I believe maybe we are adding weight to our earth. And we're getting closer to the earth because we are making our planet heavier. And if we go ahead and we want to colonize Mars and we start bringing weight to Mars, you know, is that going to mess Mars up? Is that going to bring Mars closer? Will we collide? Will, you know, if we populate Mars, will we eventually collide? You know, you're messing with a program that shouldn't be messed with, but at the same time, I want them to mess with it because that'd be fun. I won't see it in my lifetime, but I would love to see, you know, something starting on Mars. You know, I think, and then the moon is just really, really light that it can't reach the sun's power magnetic, but it reaches ours, so that's why it stays where it's at. You know, if we added weight to the moon, I think it would crash into us. Now when I'm saying weight, I'm talking about in ratio to the planet's size. You know, I don't know how to describe it, but I know exactly what I'm talking about. And I know there's some other things I want to say, but I think that about wraps it up. I don't want to make this video too long because that was one of my major complaints on my very first video. So if any of you have any awesome comments, I want to make some more videos, and I'm still thinking of more stuff. Yeah, please no haters, and thank you for watching. Please share the shit out of this video. Thank you. Ooh.